They say royal blood is sacred, but what if that very blood was cursed? In the shadows of every empire, behind every glittering crown, there lies a secret soaked in blood stories that never made it into history books. And among them stands one of the darkest tales ever whispered, the blood curse of the royal line. This isn't just a legend. It's a pattern that stretched across centuries. Kings, queens, and princes who met fates too horrific, too precise, to be coincidence. A lineage haunted not by enemies, but by its own blood. Our story begins in the heart of 15th century Europe, in the small but powerful kingdom of Valoria, ruled by King Aldric III. He was known as the Lion of the North, a warrior king who united his lands through war and fear, but his thirst for power came with a price. During one of his ruthless conquests, Aldric ordered the destruction of a monastery said to house an ancient order of monks, the Keepers of the Blood Seal. They guarded relics older than Christianity itself, one of which, they claimed, held the power to bind or curse the soul of a ruler. As Aldric's soldiers burned the monastery, the last surviving monk confronted him and spoke a single prophecy. Your blood will rule for centuries, but never in peace. Every crown you place will cost a life. Aldric laughed and executed the monk himself. But the monk's final words echoed through the smoke. The throne will drink your blood until none remains. Soon after, the curse began to unfold. The king's first son, Prince Edric, died mysteriously on the night of his coronation. Blood found trickling from his nose and eyes, with no wound on his body. His second son vanished during a hunting trip, his horse found wandering alone, its saddle soaked in blood. And Aldric himself? He was found lifeless in his chamber, his crown fused to his head as if burned there by fire. From that day, Valoria's throne became known as the seat of the Blood King. But this wasn't where the curse ended, it was only the beginning. The royal bloodline continued for generations, yet tragedy followed every heir. Wars lost in strange coincidences, entire families wiped out in single nights, and heirs dying before their 33rd birthdays. By the 1600s, the curse had become legend, until a young scholar named Elias Dorn decided to uncover the truth. Elias found hidden letters in the royal archives, notes from physicians, priests, and royal advisors, all describing the same horrors. Bleeding from the eyes, dreams of fire and whispers in the dark, a shadow standing over the cradle of every newborn prince. One document even mentioned the monk's seal, a strange, blood-red sigil that appeared on the skin of every royal child before their second birthday. Determined to break the curse, Elias sought out the ruins of the monastery where it all began. There, he uncovered something terrifying. Beneath the ashes lay an iron coffin, engraved with the names of every Valorian king, including those who hadn't yet been born. Elias tried to destroy it, but the next day his house burned to the ground, and his body was never found. Decades passed, and the kingdom tried to erase the curse from memory. But every time they crowned a new monarch, the same thing happened. The church bells would ring before dawn, even when no one touched them. In 1784, Queen Isolde of Valoria ascended the throne. She was loved by her people, a reformer, a visionary, a woman who believed she could end centuries of superstition. But one night, she too heard the bells ring in her sleep. According to her diary, recovered years later, she wrote, "There was someone in my mirror tonight. He wore my crown, but his eyes bled like rivers. When I turned, he was gone." Within weeks, she fell ill, coughing blood until her death. Her final words, whispered to her servant, were, "The monk still watches." After her death, the royal seal of Valoria vanished. The archives were sealed by the church, and the royal crypt was locked for eternity. But the curse didn't die. In the 19th century, Valoria's bloodline merged with other European royals, spreading the blood curse beyond borders. Tragedies multiplied, princes drowned, kings died without heirs, and strange marks, blood-red sigils, were reported on the bodies of newborns across France, Spain, and Austria. Some historians tried to rationalize it, calling it coincidence, genetics, even inherited disease. But others knew better. In 1891, an archaeologist named Dr. Henri Falcon discovered the half-buried remnants of the monastery and uncovered a scroll that read, "Only the blood that began the curse can end it. One must give the throne his life willingly, not in power, but in repentance." That same year, Prince Theon of Valoria, the last known descendant of Aldric's line, renounced his crown and entered the ruins. Witnesses said he knelt before the iron coffin and slit his own wrist. The next morning, the monastery collapsed into the earth, leaving only silence. For nearly a century, the curse seemed broken. No new royal deaths, no bleeding eyes. But in 2022, something strange happened. A team of restoration workers unearthed a tomb beneath what is now northern France. An unmarked stone coffin sealed with iron bands. Inside were bones wearing a golden crown and a monk's robe. DNA analysis confirmed the impossible. It was a perfect genetic match to both the royal line of Valoria and the monk's remains found in 1460. The monk and the king were the same man. Somehow, Aldric's soul had been split, half to rule, half to curse. And the bloodline that followed wasn't just cursed. It was feeding him. Even today, locals near the ruins claim that at night, the bells of the vanished monastery still ring, though no church stands there anymore. Those who've tried to record the sound say their equipment fails, and every recording ends with the same faint whisper, "The throne still drinks." So what was the blood curse of the royal line? Was it a punishment for arrogance? A supernatural cycle of power and guilt? Or something even darker? A truth buried so deep that history itself tried to erase it? Some believe that the curse never ended, that the descendants of Valoria live among modern nobility, still haunted by the mark. And if the prophecy is true, the blood will rule again, but never in peace. Because every crown has its cost, every legacy hides a wound, and sometimes, royal blood isn't a blessing, it's a curse that never dies. If you think curses are just legends, think again. Because somewhere, even today, royal blood still bleeds in silence. Like, share, and subscribe to Chrono Enigma, where history reveals the truths they tried to bury forever.